Hi guys, welcome to Raven Gaming YouTube channel. This video is an excerpt from our latest podcast, episode 25. Game of the week this week, No Man's Sky. Enjoy our ruminations on the game and what we thought. If you enjoy it, please like and subscribe and let us know if there's any games you want us to check out, and maybe we can start doing some community suggestions in the near future. So if there's anything you want to see or anything you want to hear about, drop it down there. We'll give you a brief overview when we do our next podcast on what we thought of the game and whether you should buy it or play it. Game of the week. So the game of the week this week was No Man's Sky, picked by myself. I picked this purely selfishly because I'd never played No Man's Sky before. So I wanted to kind of boot it up and see what the online was like and see if it was any fun. So Costi, played a bit of it during the week. What did you think? I mean, you've played this before, so tell me what you think now with all the updates and stuff.
Yeah, it was a bit more fleshed out. It was probably the game not to say it's the game it should have been, because the mechanics in it when I originally played it were cool. It was nice to be able to do it together. But then again, saying that, it wasn't like we had shared objectives. We each had our own objectives. So that was the kind of the thing there. So it didn't necessarily feel like we were cooperative. We were just in the same world. A lot of the same mechanics from when I first played it, having to farm material in order to keep your ship going, keep yourself going, keep your life support going. It's a survival game at its core in many ways. The space travel very similar, but yeah, just there's a lot more going on, which is really good. Whether or not I put more time into it, I don't think I will, unfortunately. I think I put a lot of time into it when I first played it, and the changes are good, but I don't necessarily know if it's enough to make me jump back into it. But I did enjoy it. And it was good to play it and to see how far it's come from when I first played it, because it was a shame. Like they're a small studio, Hello Games. They made a lot of promises, and sometimes people make a lot of promises not because they're not going to fulfill them. They just want to create this great experience, and sometimes
Cyberpunk.
Yeah, so yeah, sometimes it just doesn't turn out being that way. You've got forgiveness is
Cyberpunk before
thing.
Cyberpunk was Cyberpunk.
Yeah. But Cyberpunk, that's a much bigger studio,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Hello Games. Yeah,
Hello Games a lot smaller, but I mean, No Man's Sky, it's a man's sky. No,
wow.
Yeah, that was crappy. That was my review on it. No, it was good. Like it's a nice little fun game, explorer game. I can see you being able to pick this up and play it for a couple hours and not necessarily needing to be too deep into the lore, story, or whatever. It's just a fun little cool game to play. Yeah. That's what I made of the game of the week this week.
I think it's a little.
It was good.
A little too late. I never played it this week with you guys, but I think if you're coming at it with fresh eyes, like you, I guess, Gray, then it's a good experience. It's a really good experience. But I think, as Costi said, I don't know. It was something that we played. We've been there and done that already. It's nice that they've added these things and they've fleshed a few things out, but all in all, we've already been there and done that. It is, you're right in saying it, Costa. It is something that should have been in the beginning. Should have been like this in the beginning, but it wasn't. It's nice that they've carried on with it after 5 years, but I think they should leave it as it is now and do something else.
Yeah. Like, I think if you were to have played this week, you would have the same experience as me and felt the same because you'd already experienced it. Like, I'm interested to hear what Gray thinks about it, because he hadn't had that previous experience with it, and if it feels like more of a fleshed out game to him, than us playing it and picking out the things that they've added.
Yeah, obviously for me it's fresh eyes. The brief is obviously we play a game for 2 hours and see what we think. I ended up playing this for around 8 hours in the end.
Oh, nice.
So I've put about 8 hours into it now. And that's actually considering that the only thing that did annoy me is every time I kind of ended the game, I saved it, then turned it off. And when I came back, I was an hour behind where I was. I didn't really understand how, with regards to some of the objectives. I don't know what was in the game when you guys played the game. I found the base building mechanics were pretty cool. So I built a little base, like rudimentary hut, metal roof, so on and so forth. I created like power sources, solar panels, generators. I farmed for materials to power my generators. I built a battery to store things. I had a portal. I actually created multiple bases on different worlds, getting the different materials I needed. I found out a great way of getting loads of cash, so that we fucked on the money. There's this there is like obviously a story to it. I don't know if this was in the original game, like originally in it, but you're crashed, you don't know who you are. There's a traveler called Artemis, and you're trying to find who they are. And you and them are like special in some way. You see things a bit differently, and you kind of hop between worlds. I thought that was quite cool, and it's there, but it's not like intrusive. And the game gives you the option to go through those story kind of beats. And if you do that, and if that's what you want to do, then you can. It's quite simple. You go from one to another, one to another, one to another, and you just kind of, do objective A, objective B, get material to make this thing, to do this thing, to do that thing. And it felt like the story was more along the lines of this is what you can do. Like, every time you do a mission, it's like, if you do this or if you make this bit of technology, it gives you this bit more. And then what I found myself doing was going to the mission, getting that bit of technology, then kind of utilizing it in the way opposite to how the story wanted me to use it, so that I could kind of go down a little rabbit hole of discovery with around this new piece of tech. Yeah, so I did a few of that, and then I kind of gave up on it, and I just kind of started traveling around and making stuff. I wanted to make a big, pretty base. I wanted to kind of salvage stuff and make it all cool. And I like Minecraft, so this is just like space Minecraft, right? I'm on a planet, got these materials, I can build stuff. I'm gonna do it. I did it. You've got this kind of, I don't know if it was in the original game when you guys played it, but there's a thing called the anomaly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a space station which kind of exists out of time, and it's kind of like the hub world. So you go there and there's loads of other like people there. So it's where there's actual other players in it. So it's
is that where there'd be other like ships and stuff that you could buy?
No, so there are space stations in every galaxy.
Oh, maybe it wasn't then, yeah.
And then the anomaly is like it's a big sphere that isn't there. You have to call it in, and it just kind of materializes. And it is like a space station, but when you go inside, it's basically a nexus. So it's kind of like the tower in Destiny. Is the best way to describe it.
Okay. No, we never had any of that.
No, we never had that. No.
Yeah, so it's like it's an online lobby, and you've got other players. So you've got other players' ships, you've got other players' characters all running around. You get missions from there. You can actually team up with other players from there as well. You can purchase bigger upgrades from there with more money, more units, whatever it's called. So it's quite nice that. And you can just go up and just talk to people, and you just talk to like another random person. You can team up with them, and they push bulletins out for people who want, you to go on an adventure with them. You can buy a freighter, so you can upgrade your ship to a freighter, which gives you mass amounts of storage, and you just get this big freighter, and it's yours. And you can buy multiple ships, so you end up with a fleet. So you can have any different types of ships, a different type of environments. You've got different like ones which are heavy on speed, ones which are better on shooting, and ones which are better with like the freighters, which are more for carrying your inventory basically. You can get ground vehicles as well. I don't know if they were in the original games. You get like buggies and tanks and all this kind of stuff. And you can actually build like underground storage for them in your bases. So you get like a storage unit, and it comes up out of the ground, and you jump in the vehicle, you drive around and get resources and stuff. That was quite cool, and that was what I was kind of aiming towards. I wanted to get these bigger, fancier upgrades, these bigger, like more bombastic upgrades. And the game did really kind of draw me in with this idea of making this big base and kind of popularizing all these worlds, popping between worlds to get different things. So I found another world which was rich in carbon. I found the original world me and you were playing on, Costi, which was kind of rich more so in ferrite dust. And I just swapped between the two worlds, and I created a portal, and so I just traveled between them. So when I needed carbon, I'd pop back to my carbon world, mine a shit ton of carbon, pop back to my ferrite world, make stuff, and that was where my main base was. And yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it, and I've only just scratched the surface, and I think I probably will play more. But it'd be one of those games that I dip in and out of. I'm not going to sit there and play it till the end of its narrative conclusion, because that's not why I'm playing. I'm not playing it for the story. But I'm going to dip in and out like I would a Minecraft, to keep building my base, keep doing a bit more, fucking about a bit more, buying some new stuff, and then putting in.
So imagine everything you've just said, and not having it in the game.
Yeah.
That's basically what No Man's Sky was.
Yeah, exactly.
There
This is the thing.
was no story. There's no like 30-hour story missions. You wasn't in third person. It was all first person.
Oh wow!
There's no
Even
multiplayer.
Yeah, there was no third person, by the way. Yeah.
oh yeah, no, it's third. But I couldn't play it in first person. I also figured out a way to put the ship into third person. By the way,
Oh, okay.
yeah, which made it so much better. Like the star travel was amazing in it, in the sense of speed. Like when you use the hyperdrive and stuff, it's really cool, man. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I know you guys are saying that obviously you've played it before and you don't want to go back to a game you've already played, but when they've made changes like this for the better, sometimes I feel like things like that can be worth it. Why not give it another shot? And especially with the multiplayer aspect. I mean, we were obviously in the tutorial cost, so we didn't have this robust world we could explore. But once you're past all that, you've got a ship, you've kind of got a base of operations, and there's stuff you want to achieve. You can just go out. You don't even have to go to the same worlds. You can just spread out across the worlds. You can even fight. There's NPC ships that you can attack. And if you attack them, you can get into dogfights with them. And obviously, if there's a few of you, you can kind of go around just marauding and just taking out. You guys got trade routes, so you can follow a trade route and like hijack their materials or find depots where they're creating stuff and go and trade there. Speaking of story, Joe, you said 30 hours. It's actually got 3 different storylines. You've got the Artemis storyline, the Atlas storyline, and there's another one. I think it's just the Journeyman one, where it's just kind of discovery. Plus, then you've got the side missions you unlock by just being on the planet. You go to cartographers, you hand in map shards, you get like ancient ruins. You have to learn the languages. You can get translators, or you can go around using knowledge stones. You can build your kind of your knowledge of the language. And when you do that, you've got envoys for like mercenaries. You can take on missions for them. There's a lot to it. Like it's pretty big. Like, I mean, they've supported the game quite well, like you said. Like, it's been out for 5 years, and they've been really pumping out these updates. And it's got to the point now where it's even been upgraded for like Xbox Series X and S, and it's fast. Like, it's really fast, considering how big the game is and how big the world is. It's pretty swift, and it also looks pretty as well. I mean, the worlds are varied, they're interesting. The flora, the fauna, all absolutely crazy. But yeah, so I think I'll do more, and I'm going to see what I can find in that world, see how far I can kind of get, and not take it too seriously. Just kind of mess about. And if you guys want to jump onto, I think you'll enjoy it if you get past the tutorial section, which is about 3 hours long. To be fair, so when me and Costi did play it, we were playing for a good 2 hours and only just scratched the surface of the tutorial.
Oh, fair enough.
But once you're out of that, and the world kind of opens up and you kind of discover more, I think it's definitely going to be an enjoyable game and good to play with friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, No Man's Sky. If you haven't played it yet, now is the best time to check it out, and that is coming from someone who has never played it before and is enjoying trying it out now, especially if you have a Series S or an X.